afternoon everybody, Calm Biker here at the side of the main road at Grimsby, looking at the fields before I turn around and show you my steed for the day. I mentioned in my last video when I came out with J&S that I was looking for something a bit more sensible, and I've mentioned in previous videos about how I'd like something I could put luggage on, a bit like the Z1000SX I guess, but I never really got on with that one. Great bike, but just never really gelled with it. So I thought I'd try something a little bit different, and Rob Speed have lent me this Honda VFR800F. It's I don't know how much of a ride it's going to get. I've just set off out of Rob Speed. I just pulled over. It's really hot, which is why the ground is dry, despite a minute ago it peeing down with rain. Really weird it is, honestly. Look, there's water on the bike and everything. Look, not much of it, man. But I thought I'd pull over because I would normally start this type of video whilst riding. But the first thing as I came out, I thought I'm going to do some, I mean it's not a motorway, but it's like motorway miles, just to see what it would be like on a trip. And it's loud. It is so loud. That windscreen, well, it doesn't screen you from any wind. But I thought I'd give you a quick look at it before I head off that way, and then turn around and come back down the more countrified lanes. So this is the Honda VFR800F, as I say, V4 engine, 105 horsepower, so not as much as the Z, but in theory 105 should be plenty. It's only slightly less than the Z750R had, and that was a cracking bike. First impressions are that I quite like the looks of it. I don't like the sound of it in terms of the wind noise, and I'm hoping when I get off the main road that I'll actually start to enjoy it more, because for the two or three miles I've done, I don't like it. I thought everything I've seen about it, I thought I was going to love this, but I don't like it. If you are an owner of one of these, you might not want to watch the rest of this. It might not go well. But yeah, I say it's got 105 brake horsepower, but you wouldn't know. It's well, I'll show you. It's not quick, and I know I've just jumped off my Z, but this is really not quick. So let's give it some. So that's getting up to 70. Seemed to take an awfully long time. It's a weird one. It's got a feel that I remember from the XJ6. Hopefully you can hear me. I am having to shout quite loudly. The XJ6, which when I bought it felt fast, because it was, well, my first bike above a 125. It just feels like it's got something missing. There's just not quite the power there you would expect it to have. Especially since this isn't a 600. It feels like a 600 in terms of power, but it doesn't have the go you would expect from an 800. I mean, it's not a perfectly fair comparison to, the Z750R, because obviously that's a different style of bike. This is supposed to be a sports tourer, whereas the Z750R was a naked. But the Z750R would have left this in the dust. It does feels like it's being held back. It feels like this could be capable of so much more, but something's just slightly missing. It'd be interesting. I'll have to get it above the magic 7,000, won't I? Because it's 7,000, I believe, where the EU regulations stop, and then the manufacturers can basically do whatever they want with the bike. So I know on the Kawasaki's at about 7,000 revs, they come alive. So I'm kind of waiting for this white car to get out of the way just in case it does. Let's go down again. So I'm at 7,000 there in third gear. No, it's just not there. Really is just not there at all, the power. Weird. Am I asking too much? Am I asking too much to expect that this would be? I mean, the Z750R, I think it was 110 horsepower or 115. 5 or 10 different. This is a slightly heavier bike. I think it's something like 240 kilos curb weight versus about 220 for the various naked Zs. You don't really feel the weight that much, but weirdly, it doesn't have a tourer bit about it at all. So it's a bit weird. As for a sports tourer, you would expect a mix of sports and touring, by which I mean at the sports end you'd expect it to light your pants on fire. At the touring end you'd expect it to be comfortable and smooth and soaking up the bumps and civilised. And sports tourer says I'm going to put you somewhere between that. So I'll offset the sports with some touring, or I'll offset the touring with some sports. And this doesn't feel like it's got either. It's not got the power. It doesn't flick very well. I mean, it turns alright. You know, it feels planted. But it's not comfortable either. I'm tiny. I'm really small. I've got really small legs. And I've got the seat in that high position, which worried me a bit because the guy said that it says I can put it in a low position, but it's not a short task. And I was hoping, he says laughably, to avoid the rain. But here I am in the rain anyway. So I didn't bother getting it changed. But I'm glad I didn't get it changed to the low position, because if I'd have taken what's about just under an inch out of this height, I think I'd have been in pain. I am really cramped. This is like a sports bike position and sports bike comfort, but not on a sports bike. Bizarre. Bizarre. Anyway, I need to get off these type of roads and onto something where I can try and get it around some corners and see if I can have some more fun with it. Somewhere where there aren't any damn caravans. Should be a rule: if you've got a caravan on a 2-lane road, you're not allowed to overtake a truck. Oh, it's really hurting me in my gentleman's area, this. So harsh over the bumps. Even there, trying to roll onto the roundabout in second gear, and it was chuntering at me as if it didn't want to do it. Not quite stalling, but certainly at that point where it doesn't want to go. You really have to work the gears on this. The brakes are superb. Really quite impressive brakes. This road goes past the airport, and it's got some little twisty bits on. The quick shifter's quite fun. The chap at the showroom was saying that, God blimey, really needs its suspension softening. Oh, I'm going to be going up an octave in a minute. Yeah, the guy at the showroom was saying that this got a quick shifter available from Honda before the Fireblade did. It's quite I suppose it depends how you look at it, quite an old bike, or quite a bike with quite some heritage, depending on how you look at it. It's been on the go quite a while, the VFR. This one is originally a 2014 model. I mean, this isn't a 2014, it's a bit later than that, but it's largely unchanged, I think is the way that you would put it. since 2014. But that said, I don't think that's an excuse for any problems it has, because my bike is a 2015 model. It's on a 16 plate, but it's a 2015 bike, and it's I think a 2014 design, so very similar. Now, I'd just like to point out just one thing. I'll have to put it in this video. I mean, it'll get ignored anyway. People who will have already turned off. People who wanted it to be a positive review would probably already have turned off and slagged me off. But I'm not saying that this is necessarily a bad bike. No, I am actually, aren't I? It's weird. I was watching reviews of this a couple of weeks ago, because it was a couple of weeks ago I actually went to J&S to look at one, and I was looking at reviews, and the first review I looked at was on, I think it's the bike show or something. It's a South African bike show thing, and they were basically slating it, and I thought that's quite disappointing, because I wanted to like this. I really wanted this to be a bike that would be a good one for getting Mrs. C on the back and getting away for a weekend, cameras in the boxes, that kind of thing. So I was really disappointed to see that review, and then I carried on, and I think it was Hero RR, I think it is, that did a video of the history of all the VFRs, and I thought, well, he clearly loves them. There's a positive there. And there was somebody else, I can't remember who it is, but I'll find out and I'll stick the thing on the channel name on the screen. But it was somebody who Missenden Flyer had a go on his bike, and he loves his VFR. I don't think he also went to Lake District. I don't think he liked this one as much as his, and I've heard that the previous model was actually a much better bike, which is weird, really, isn't it? I mean, there should be no reason that your bikes get worse through newer revisions. But they were all glowing about it, and then I found a couple of other reviews that were also glowing about it, and I thought, well, maybe it's just that South African bike show thing that are down on it for whatever reason. But I have to say, I think unfortunately I agree with them. Instead of what James May would say about, when he's saying about cars, he talks about the fizz, saying he feels the fizz. The only thing I'm feeling at the minute is soreness, because yeah, it's bashing the heck out of my gentleman's area. I mean, it deals with these corners well. You know, you can't really go quick around here. I mean, you can, technically, but expect a speeding ticket, because the police are often around this area. But it's a nice kind of set of bends around here for you just to kind of pootle through. And I would say it's fine. It's not sporty at all. Yeah, sorry if you own one of these things. If you own it and love it, then you're right and I'm wrong. These things are all very personal. So I would never say that this is a bad bike, but it's certainly not the bike for me. And I am thoroughly disappointed. I was talking to the chap, and we were talking about what would I do would I be buying new or second hand? And I had the kind of childish excitement of, ooh, should I get a new one and swap the Z, or should I get a second bike, a second hand one, and have it as a second bike? Doesn't give you that feeling that it's trying to, you know, yank your arms off or anything like that, like you would expect from something sporty. As I say, it feels like it's been limited somehow. Maybe it's something to do with the V4, I don't know. Maybe they just feel differently. Feel differently? Feel different. I have to say, actually, it doesn't feel to me like a four-cylinder bike. It does feel quite twinny. Maybe that's the difference. The inline 4 that I like to ride has a very different feel and much less in the way of vibrations. I tell you what though, it's just put it into clear perspective for me about the J&S thing. And what I was saying in the last video, that the guy basically said, go buy reviews. You don't need to test ride, you can just go buy reviews and buy something, and all bikes are great. And again, they probably are. And as I said, people love this thing. So, yeah, I'm talking rubbish, basically. People absolutely love this. But if I'd have bought this unridden, I would have been so disappointed. Let's say some good things. At no point have I felt that it was going to struggle to do anything. It's, I say, it's quite bouncy around the bends, but it doesn't feel like it's going to get out your hands or twitch or anything like that. It feels fairly smooth around the bends. The turning circle on it is superb. I've just spun it around in this road, something which there's no way I would be able to do on the Z without a bit of paddling. What else? Avoid these bits of mud because they won't appreciate it if I take it back muddy, will they? What else? The mirrors are brilliant. The riding position, although it's very, very cramped, as I said, on the legs, up the top half is fine. A lot of people complain about these type of bikes that they have to lean on the bars more, and that can lead to them getting a bit tired or a bit achy. That quick shift is a bit it's like a bad gear shift sometimes. I've obviously not got the knack of that. Yeah, so it's fine. Because of the shape of the tank, my knees and my thighs are in the perfect position to hold on, so I don't have to put any weight at all on the bars. So it deals with that very well. So the ergonomics of the top half, really, really good. The screen isn't adjustable, which is a real shame, because it could certainly do to either be higher or not there. I think if I go higher to get out of it, suddenly all the air cleans up. So it's got that same problem I had on the 500X, that the screen is actually causing turbulence. Like the layout of the instruments, it's fairly basic. It hasn't got all the TFT that all your modern bikes get nowadays, but it's very clear. You've got your speedo, got a gear indicator, which on a bike as quiet as this is something that's probably quite handy to have. I think it looks like it looks a nice machine. I quite like how they've got some nice touches, like the wheels are this kind of bronzy colour, and they've mirrored it up here on the bars, on the handlebars. Though I'm not sure how long it would last, because you can actually see that, I guess, where a keyring lands, it's worn away. Either a keyring or somebody's had the keys there. This bend here, I would normally have great fun on, but I can't I'm not getting the feedback from the bike. So I'm actually taking that bend 20 miles an hour less than I normally would. So that's not the best sign, is it? What else we got? Got a clock on it. I think this. If you want to go on a tour, I think this could do it. I think you would need a gel seat, or something, you know, something to take the bumps out of it, because the seat, it doesn't feel, weirdly, it doesn't feel that hard, but it is clobbering me again and again and again. So I think you definitely need to sort the suspension out and soften it up, which I could probably do, to be fair. It has got an adjuster, a remote adjuster, so you can do it without tools at the rear. I just can't be bothered. The bike is like the Z1000SX. I think that now it's the Ninja 1000SX or something, isn't it? But there's a slightly newer version of it. But the SX I had a very clever system for the luggage, and this has got something similar, but unlike the SX, where you actually buy the bike without it and then start cutting holes in to put the rack on, which is a very nice rack. It doesn't look like there's a rack there, really. It's just got these extra little bars and a couple of stoppers on it. It doesn't look anything like the normal kind of rack you see from Jiffy or one of those manufacturers. This has got something similar, but you don't have to cut anything or add anything. It's just built into the bike, so you can go and buy the boxes, the Honda boxes, and put them straight on. It's nice to see it's got adjustable levers as standard. That's something that annoys me with a lot of bikes, where they don't think about people that to match my short legs. I have very short fingers, and I always have to buy adjustable levers, but this has got them built in, which is nice. It's also got heated grips. I haven't felt the need to turn them on, but I'm sure they'll be very, very good, because of the same heated grips, as far as I can see, that I had on the 500, and they were superb. How would I sum it up? If somebody gave me one, I would be more than happy. But I'm unlikely to part with £9,000 or £10,000 of my own money in order to buy one. This is about the same price as mine. It's a little bit cheaper than the Z1000SX, even though I didn't really get on with the Z1000SX. I don't think this has got the same value. Now, one thing that has always been said to me about that is that people say that Hondas are basically indestructible, reliable, and I have no reason to doubt that this would be reliable. As I say, it feels like this engine is being restricted, so I'm sure that you know, there's a lot more this engine could give. You're probably not stressing it in the least. Whereas the Z1000SX, you know, you knew you were going some on that thing. That thing was fast. I think this rides in a very similar way to the Z1000SX. It doesn't have the power. It is marginally cheaper. But the Z1000SX, I don't think is a low quality bike by any means. I think it's a very high quality bike. And this one, I have to say, quite surprised to look at it and see that it's got quite a lot of rust on it. If I was buying one of these, it wouldn't be this one. Now that, of course, is, you know, any bike can have a lot of rust on it if it hasn't been looked after, you know, but this has a lot of rust on it. The box underneath on the exhaust, whatever you call that big box, is brown with rust. Now that you can kind of understand. It's a very, very hot area, So it's steel, it gets very, very hot and then very cold, and it gets spray and probably salt and all that kind of stuff. But I have also noticed that the bolts around the calipers at the front are rusty, and the bolts that hold the mudguard on at the front are rusty. And it's them kind of things, little details that you don't expect. It's, you know, I don't know. Again, you can't really judge the bike itself. You can judge this bike, but you can't judge the model by that, because, you know, it could just have been not looked after. But yeah, it's quite a lot of rust. Anyway, I'm going to head back now. I'm going to get back onto the main road, and we're straight back down the main road into Grimsby and give them this back, and then disappoint them that they're going to say, so do you like it? And I'm going to say, I'm afraid not. My left knee is now starting to hurt. Quite a lot. Quite a lot indeed. So here we are at motorway speed, and as you can probably tell, we're back to loud again. Deafening even with earplugs in. But if I go like this, miles better. If I duck down, it's better too. I'm just an unfortunate height. Anyway, thanks for watching everybody. Ride safe, and I'll talk to you all again soon.